Hello everyone! If you haven't heard, Massive Entertainment's The Division 2 recently released, and I managed to get my hands on a copy of the game and play through the first half of the main storyline. In this video, I'll talk about my first impressions and complaints with the game. So with that, let's hop right in. The Division 2, released on March 15th of 2019, is pretty clearly a sequel to The Division 1. The game follows the storyline of The Division 1 in DC approximately 7 months after the outbreak on Black Friday. The main character receives a distress call to go to the capital, and that's where the game begins. Off the bat, I absolutely loved the scenery and the amount of detail that went into crafting DC. Because The Division 1 was set in New York during the winter, seeing the sun and trees and foliage is really a change of pace. The colored rarity loot system works the same way, standard, specialized, superior, and so on. The gunplay is really fun, and you actually feel like your weapon has some weight to it. One thing that they did change, though, was the health and recovery mechanic works around armor now instead of just a normal health bar. When your character takes damage, it hurts your armor, and if your armor breaks, then your health bar is exposed and you can be killed very quickly. Almost all of the controls and buttons were the same, with the exception of some buttons in the inventory. A new thing that they added are these new settlement areas, similar to safe houses but more like miniature bases of operations. If you complete certain activities like control points in the same area as these settlements, then they can be upgraded and they'll eventually supply your main base of operations with gear and upgrades of its own. I really enjoy how that mechanic works, and it really forces you to go out and get all the activities done in the area so that you can actually upgrade those settlements. On the enemy side, once again, we have three opposing factions: the Hyenas, the True Sons, and the Outcasts, each having their own enemy archetypes and strengths. Speaking of enemies, there are a lot of new enemy types, and they all vary from faction to faction. The True Sons have a tank character that has a grenade launcher, but an Outcast tank character is a juggernaut fireman with a sledgehammer that rushes you down. I like how they incorporated the idea that enemy archetypes change across factions. The armor mechanic works similar on enemies as well. Armored enemies can be shot in their armored spots to tear it off and expose weak points so they can die quicker. Dark Zone scout missions are a cool concept, but they feel desolate and kind of unnecessary. Whereas in the first game you would just go to a checkpoint and you would just head straight in, the scout missions force you to wander around the Dark Zone area for a little bit, and I just feel like they're not needed. The Dark Zone works the same way, with landmarks, extraction zones, named enemies, and the rogue mechanic. With the 45 minutes I played in Dark Zone East, I'm not blown away, but I'm also not disappointed. It's more or less the same thing as Division 1's Dark Zone, but hey, I mean, at least there's 3 of them now, that's pretty cool. For a AAA game, a $60 price tag is basically guaranteed, but I feel like The Division 2 is worth it. It's a good follow-up sequel that really gives you a different perspective on the outbreak being 7 months later. Luckily for us, the devs managed to learn from Division 1's launch mistakes to make a better, more stable looter-shooter experience. So, with that, that's going to be the end of my little first impressions and review. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you want, I post every weekend, and comment down below what you think I should do next, and I will see you guys later.